truly believe anybody can swim 130 pace per 100, no matter what age or ability you currently are. So many times I see athletes who are great outside of the water, but then when they try to swim, it's just not on the same level. Recently, I sat down with a triathlete who was great on the bike, great on the run, but he was stuck at 2 minutes per 100 in his swim, and his dream was to swim 130. We talked about exactly what he needs to do to get there in a little interview. Check it out. He's kind of a weird guy though. I'd like to welcome Lucas Siska to the channel. He's a YouTuber and a well-known swim coach. Lucas, thank you for being here.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Before we get into the interview, I'd like to say that I think you have bad hair, you're skinny, and that is not how a swimmer should be built. I just had to get that off my chest. My training partners, though, recently have been kicking my ass in the pool, and one of them is coached by you. So I thought I'd ask you some questions to figure out how in the world did you do it. Lucas, one of my biggest frustrations is that I go to the pool and next to me is a guy who's fat, old, bald, and he can just beat me to the ground when it comes to swimming, when I know that everywhere else in life, I could take him to school. Do you see this often?
Yeah, I see this all the time. Don't be shocked by that. Those guys probably swam when they were kids, and they have muscle memories that despite being fat and out of shape now, they can still beat you any day because they've got the right technique. But guess what? You can learn to have that technique too. Everybody can.
Interesting, very interesting. So let me get this straight. Can you tell me what is the biggest obstacle getting stuck at 2 minutes per 100 or at any pace for that matter? How can you improve in swimming?
You know, I get this question a lot and I could talk and talk forever about it, but to keep it short, the main reason I often see people getting held back in their swim is because they're willing to do hours and hours on the bike, they're willing to run miles and miles on the run, but then when they get to the pool, all they want to do is just technique, 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 and they maybe spend 30 minutes doing that, but they didn't do any training. That's one thing. And then the other thing is if you didn't swim growing up, like those people that we talked about, you know, the fat guys that are beating you right now, you know, they developed swimming mobility as kids, which they still have today. And that's a huge edge to their technique right now. You know, if you want to get more swim mobile, you just got to do some simple swim stretches. Do them every day consistently, and you wouldn't believe how your stroke will improve. Just that alone can make a huge difference.
So are you telling me that I just need to swim more laps to get faster? Is that what I'm understanding here?
No. It's not just about swimming more laps to get faster, because this is another thing I see all the time. I see guys just going up and down the pool, and they'll even swim 4 or 5 Ks worth every single time. And guess what? That will get you to a certain level, but eventually you'll just plateau and you won't reach your full potential. It's not just about swimming more laps. You have to make sure that you have structured key quality sessions in your swimming, because the reality is if you don't train fast, you can't swim fast. If you never train at sub 130 pace in practice, how in the world are you going to swim 130 pace in a race? We've got to train with systematic sessions.
Now I want to ask you in a minute what the ideal training week looks like, but first I want to ask you something that more interests me. How long do you think it would take me to go from 2 minute pace right now? If I do a set of 10 times 100, I'm going 2 minute pace, to hitting 130 pace comfortably. Realistically, how long would that take?
I love this question. We've actually done this several times. More specifically, we had a guy that was right around your pace, right around 210, and he jumped in on the program and we got him from 210 to 130 pace in 6 months. And I'm not just talking about hitting 130 for like a random 100. No, cruising at 130 pace comfortably for 1,000 meters, just being able to hold it. And the key is that we built up his volume. Yes, we did start swimming more. He was swimming, you know, maybe, I can't remember now, I think it was around 5 Ks per week when we first started. And over those 6 months, we built him up to 15 K, but we were doing those key quality sessions in there. And every 2 weeks, we were focusing on specific aspects of his technique to really just get that free speed, because there's certain parts of your technique that if you fix it, it has a ripple effect on your entire stroke. For example, if you fix body position and just get more extended in the water and not be so tight, that alone will just gain you tons of speed. I mean, we're talking about 20 seconds right off your 100 pace, maybe within a month or so.
All right, before we get more into the detailed aspects of a training week, because I want to know that, let's talk about some technique things that are just bugging me. My legs sink when I swim, and when I have a pool buoy or a wetsuit, I can go much faster. Why are my legs sinking? Is it a kicking issue?
Perfect timing for this question. So I just mentioned body position, right? And you're asking about sinking legs. And one of the key chief reasons people have sinking legs is because their body position is messed up. Because they're all tight and scrunched, their legs just naturally sink down. I mean, that would happen to anybody. That would happen to me too. But the way to keep your legs up is to just extend your body to the max. The more extended you are, all right, the more floaty and buoyant you become. And then it's just so much easier to keep those legs up there. You're not fighting with the water. And guess what? Your kick actually becomes easier. So it's not about kicking better to get your legs up. It's about stretching the body out.
Right on, right on. Starting to like this guy. All right, let's see what you say about this one. All right. We all know that we're supposed to have some kind of high elbow when we're pulling through, but I just don't get it. I just don't get how to get it up there. I don't get how to keep it up there. Explain to me in simple terms, how in the world do you get a high elbow and what's it good for anyways?
Oh, trust me, I feel you on this one. Now with the high elbow, yeah, coaches don't usually explain how to do this. They just say, get that elbow up. It leaves us, like boggled thinking, what do I do now? The simplest way I can tell you to get that elbow up is, remember when I was talking about getting more swim mobile? A lot of times people who didn't grow up swimming, when they have their arm going over for the stroke, their shoulders are so stiff that when they go to pull, they can't put their arm in the correct position. So then their elbow naturally drops down. If we get more mobile, we can get our shoulder more in close proximity to our head. And let me show this to the camera. More close proximity to our head. Extend, rotate inwards. Look at that. The elbow comes up by itself. All right? Then we're in that power position right there, which is key for that high elbow.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. I like that. I like that. Okay, Lucas, so what about this? When I want to get faster on the run or the bike, a lot of times when I just want to elevate my speed, I just put the hammer down more. When I put the hammer down on the bike, I take off. When I want to get my run faster, all I do is pick up the cadence a little bit. Why, when I try to do that in the water, is just not the same?
Yeah, that's right. Swimming is not like other sports. If you just go faster with your arms and your legs or try to just interject more power by being stiff and rigid, you might actually go slower. And not only that, you might actually sink. Yes, that's right. What you gotta do is just be relaxed. I like to tell my swimmers, have loose focus, loose power, loose on top, strong underneath. That's the mindset that you gotta have. And it sounds like, it could be complicated to achieve, but it's really not. And there's some drills that we can do to help you with that. But the more relaxed you are in general, the better you'll be in the water. And guys, if you want to know your true swim potential in this moment, I want you to take my quiz and we'll give you a score to let you know. Look in the comments below, click the link and find out.
Okay, so is there such thing as perfect stroke rate or tempo?
This is a good question. I get it a lot. I don't want you to overthink this, and most swimmers just overthink it way too much. The key is loose, like I talked about, be relaxed, but we want to be long and strong. Stretch out your stroke. And of course, depending upon what event you're doing, if you're sprinting, yes, obviously you want to have a higher cadence. But if you're going long, you want to stretch it out and relax. It's really individual and it all just depends. For me personally, if we're swimming in a 25-meter pool, I like to take right around 14 strokes per lap, and that just seems to work well for me. But I've seen people who take more, I've seen people who take less.
Okay, all right. This is the last technique question I want to ask because it's getting to be too much. Now listen, when I go to breathe, I just feel weird. I feel like I'm struggling. Every time I go for a breath, I feel like my stroke just gets tense and it doesn't feel timed right. I feel like everything starts falling apart. Is there any advice you could offer when it comes to breathing easy and comfortably?
Yeah, this is a common one. With breathing, the key is to line everything up. And one of my favorite drills for this is the catch-up drill. Why? Because when you're in that catch-up position and forcing this hand to stay up there to catch up to it, it just kind of makes that timing of the breath easier. Your arm comes down, your head is turning, this arm is waiting, and then when this arm comes around to catch up, you put your head back down. It just gets you to kind of have that home base. A lot of times with breathing, people's rhythm gets thrown off, and I imagine this could be your case, is that when you go for a breath, this arm that should be gliding right here, it just starts falling down, and that just throws your rhythm off. You gotta keep it up there, and with the catch-up drill, this is something that could really help.
This guy's got answers for everything. Now, listen, this one right here, I swim by myself. You know, I rarely swim with anybody. I don't have a coach. How do I know if my technique is improving? Is there something special I'm supposed to feel in the water letting me know that I'm doing the right thing or at least on the right track?
Yeah, it's tough if you're swimming by yourself. It's good to have some eyes on you. But the biggest thing I could recommend you do and to your audience is that if you get somebody to film you, a lifeguard or anybody just walking by, it just takes a 20-second video, you'll see your flaws. We think we're doing something right, but then until we see it on camera, do we really see, oh, I need to move my arm here or stretch out my body there. Filming is huge for seeing if you're doing things the right way. And then the second thing, it's super simple. Pay attention to your pace in the water, because the faster you go and it feels easier, that's telling you what? That you're improving. So I highly recommend everybody always pay attention to pace.
Okay, so let's get back to the training aspect. I have a pretty good idea of what I need to do technique-wise now, but what did you say that perfect ideal training week would look like? What are the swims that I should be doing in training? Because you mentioned that just swimming more laps is not the key.
Now listen, a good training week is individual and it depends on your availability to train. Ideally, you want to have a threshold session within your week. That's something where you do a workout where the effort level is right around a 7 or 8 out of 10. And you do reps where your rest is a little bit shorter. 10 times 100 on 30 seconds rest, hold that effort right at 7 or 8 out of 10. You want to have that kind of training in your schedule every week. Then you need to have some speed work. We're talking where you're going hundreds all out on a longer rest. You know, this, if you, like I said before, you can't swim fast unless you train fast. This kind of quality work needs to be in your training week. And then of course, we just need to build endurance and not just super slow volume. You want to do stuff like, depends on your ability, but let's just say 4 times 400 meters, stretching it out, doing the best average pace you could hold, give yourself a minute's rest. You know, don't just swim mindlessly. Have a purpose, have goals, and have this in your training week. And also then make sure that you keep adding that volume if you have extra time. Have days where you just get that volume in, all right? The more volume you have, the higher your peak can be. But depending on time, that's all individual.
Guys, did you know that 75% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel? If you could just subscribe, it's totally free. It really helps this channel grow and become something special. Thanks, guys. Now, listen, I'm an accountant. I work 8 to 7 every single day, Monday through Friday, and I just don't have the time to be getting to the pool that much. I only have time for 3 days a week. What would you suggest I should do on those 3 days to maximize my time?
If you only have 3 days a week, then I would highly recommend cut the fluff out, the garbage volume, do that threshold work, do that speed work, and do that speed endurance work. Do those 3 things week in and week out, and compared to what you're doing now, you will improve.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on kicking? Do I need to even worry about kicking as a triathlete? Because, you know, we kind of need to save our legs for that run at the end.
Yeah, there's a big misconception that triathletes don't need a kick. And yes, it's also individual, but some of the best triathlon swimmers ever, like Richard Varga, they have massive kicks. Javier Gomez, have you ever heard of him? Massive kick. And it's just something that just makes your stroke more efficient. Why not be the best you can be instead of saying, I don't need a kick, and then just not make your freestyle stroke as good as it can be? Have all aspects of your stroke top notch.
Whew, blowing my mind with this, my man. Now, Lucas, so tell me this. What are your thoughts on equipment? Because I heard in total immersion, they don't like you to use any equipment at all. But I don't know, what do you think?
Yes, there are some philosophies out there that don't like using equipment like total immersion. Now, I'm not against total immersion. I think it's great for teaching you how to relax and get more comfortable in the water. But if you're all about performance and getting to that 130 pace, yes, equipment can be helpful. All Olympic athletes use equipment. Equipment can help you catch the water better. On days that you're tired, it can help you keep the correct technique. And also it can be used as a strength tool. So I'm a big believer in using equipment when you swim.
Okay, I'm loving this interview so far. Now, Lucas, this is something that I've been dying to ask you actually, and I have to admit, I was pretty impressed that you've trained with Olympic gold medalists, you've trained with some really elite athletes. What's something that you've seen them do specifically in the water that sets them apart? Is there like a secret sauce? Is there something that they're doing that we can copy that can help us be better at swimming?
Yeah, this is a good question. I love this question. In my time of swimming and training with elite athletes, what I would say is the biggest thing that is the difference between them and a lot of people who just are around the lap pool is that elites, they do things consistent, whether they feel like it or not, they get the job done. So many times they get to the pool and they don't want to be there, but they do it anyways. And that consistency week in and week out is what really builds their performance and turns them into elite athletes. And this is something I just want to say to anybody, that if you're even using a system that maybe isn't the best, but if you stay consistent with it, 9 times out of 10, you will get some decent results. So please stay consistent, have a goal and chase after it. And you wouldn't believe how that simple thing can make you that much better.
Well, Lucas, I can't believe it, but I actually found this interview quite interesting. It's been a pleasure. You're not that bad of a guy. Thanks for being here.
Oh yeah, it's been a pleasure. I hope you found it useful and thanks for having me. Guys, these tactics are not just theory. We've used these strategies time and time again that have produced real results. They work every single time if you follow the program through. You can do this. Now, if you want to see how to exactly improve your freestyle technique in general, check out this video. And until next time, I'm Lucas Siska. Take care.